Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome on this snowy Tuesday morning to the regular agenda or regular council meeting, pardon me, of Dysart et al. And the first thing I will do is ask for the roll call, please, from the clerk.
Hey, Councillor Clark,
Present.
Councillor Donaldson,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Kennedy,
Present.
Councillor McKechnie,
Present.
Councillor Smith,
Present.
Councillor Wood Roberts,
Present.
Mayor Roberts.
Present.
Perfect. All in attendance.
Okay, thank you for that. And so first off, I need a resolution to adopt the agenda, please. So if I can have a mover and a seconder for that. Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Wood Roberts. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of Council of the Municipality of Dysart et al. Held on November 24, 2020 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that is carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest?
I have one.
And that is
For indirect for the in the planning,
just state the number.
5D.
Okay. And the reason is you're a member of Harcourt Park.
Right.
Yeah, I think you have to state the reason too.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. And then that'll be filed with the clerk. Thank you very much. And at that time, what I'll ask you to do is, I don't know, do we turn the video off?
Yeah, turn the video off
Just-
and
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Oh, so that's been declared. Anyone else? Seeing none others. So next thing we will do is adopt the minutes from our last meetings. So I'll need mover seconder for those. Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kennedy. Be it resolved that council approves the following meeting minutes as circulated. Dysart et al. Regular Council, October 27, 2020, and the public meeting of October 27, 2020. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Getting that tickle. Next up, we have a very short mayor and deputy mayor update. We do have several delegations today, so we won't take too long. I'll state a few things first. If you've been following along with also the county agendas, you'll know that this is a very full week. Yesterday, we had the special meeting for the shoreline protection bylaw. That was just shy of a 4-hour meeting, so that was very lengthy. We went through line by line. We went through frequently asked questions. We went through all the questions that were received. I think it was 48 questions that were received through the process from the last meeting in September. And it was really an excellent meeting to do a deep dive into this shoreline protection bylaw. Next steps will be that it'll be weighed in for online comments. And then the goal is to have a public meeting similar to this, an extremely large Zoom meeting, but the way we do public meetings, you'd register to speak, and that'll be sometime at the end of January. And the goal is to implement by April of 2021. We all said at the outset that may or may not be possible, but we're going to continue with those dates as possible. So that's that. Tomorrow we have afternoon, all of you Dysart councillors are attending, and so are every councillor across the county and county council. So that is our service delivery review for the county and municipalities. That's tomorrow afternoon. That's going to be a full Zoom meeting. So we'll see how that goes. And that's all I have for now. And I'm going to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kennedy to do a little update on the Welcome Center.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, we put the report in here about the Welcome Center. It's just an update on the progress, and unfortunately, due to COVID, the increase in cost of materials. We'll still work with the treasurer and the team at staff to address shortfalls. I must say that we've been really successful, and it was as far as our contractors, by hiring all locals. They've really taken this project to heart and have been doing what they can to help alleviate some of the costs, the unexpected costs that have happened with this project. Still on track to end by the end of March 31st, as that's the deadline for our funding. And looking forward to finally getting this thing open. But we'll continue to try and find savings where we can. But pretty proud of the way this building is shaping up, and it looks like it's going to be a real asset to the community. Thank you.
Anything else, Deputy Mayor Kennedy, on other things that I spoke of or things happening at the county tomorrow?
Yeah, I've had a number of meetings with the Sports Hall of Fame group, and just recently we were able to, we did a tour of the auditorium upstairs over the arena, and we had Emerson Lumber staff there to have a look at what the display cases might look like and just start that part of it. So pretty excited about that finally coming this over the winter and the spring. The group is planning on their initial induction ceremony in October of 2021. So plans are underway with that. So I've been working with that group, and as well a number of meetings with Places for People that's coming up later on today. And I just met with the Performing Arts Committee as well, and they're expecting to make an information delegation to council next month. Busy times. Thank you.
It is. That's fabulous. And lastly, I forgot to mention, I just wanted to tell council that the agreement between the assessment center and Dysart will be signed this week, and we came to a very good understanding. There always was all along, and I just want to thank our treasurer, Barbara Swinnell, and our emergency control group team for all their work on that. It is a good and fair agreement, and any funds that are changing hands are not profit. This is just an agreement to cover costs of hydro, extra snow plowing, etc. So that's all ready to go and get signed this week. So that's really good news. And I think there was some misinformation out in the medias that we were trying to profit from the assessment center, and that would never, ever be our intention whatsoever. Okay, so that concludes our updates, I believe. And so next we have to adjourn our council meeting to go to the public meeting. So I need a mover and seconder to adjourn this meeting, Councillor Donaldson and Councillor Wood Roberts. Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the regular meeting of council at 9:07 a.m. to proceed into a public meeting to consider the following: a zoning bylaw amendment for the lands of 1429665 Ontario Limited, known as Stothart Creek. All are in favor? And that's carried. So we're now in the public meeting. Lots of paper. Now in the public meeting, this is a public meeting to hear one proposed zoning amendment to the Dysart et al. Zoning Bylaw 2005-120. During the public meeting, council will consider all information available regarding the proposed amendment, review the staff report, which includes any public comments received to date, and listen to all comments provided during the meeting. There were no pre-registered people to speak on this file, so I'm going to turn it over to staff to go forward with the application. And we're just bringing the Director of Planning in and our Senior Planner, Chris Orson, and Jeff Isles.
Perfect. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect.
Welcome.
Through you, Mayor. This is for the lands of 1429665 Ontario Limited. Generally, this is something that we've seen before, where it's just updating the discrepancy with the EP boundary on a property from the mapping, as some of it's outdated. So this is just staff has not received any oral or written comments related to the application. The owner would like to rezone the property located on Plan 637, Lot 4 on Brook Trout Run Road to accurately delineate the environmental protection boundary on the subject property. The subject lands are currently zoned suburban residential, which permits residential development. The subject property is well vegetated with an identified wetland area to the rear of the property. Also has an open area that is currently has a concrete pad for residential development as well. An environmental study was provided in support of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application. The study also provided technical recommendations that were included into the delineation of the environmental protection boundary. In addition, the delineation of the EP was surveyed, and this area was confirmed by the surveyor as well. It is staff's opinion that the application is consistent with the provincial policy statement and generally conforms with the policies of the Dysart official plan. And staff support the recommendations as outlined in the report. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, so I'll open it up to questions from any councillors. Fairly straightforward, just like you said, making sure the lines of the actual EP boundary are accurate so that they can get their house built in that location. Any questions? Councillor Smith, go ahead.
Thank you. Chris, I was interested in any implications for the neighboring lots. So there's quite a swath of land here that's being converted from EP. I can't imagine that just ends at the boundaries of this particular lot. So you have any sense of will this now be the first of numerous similar requests, or how do you think that'll evolve?
I would say that we consistently have been seeing these types of requests, not just in this area, but throughout the municipality. And really, it just comes down to the mapping. There are some discrepancies with the mapping, and it's just more to fine tune and delineate the boundaries. So again, we did have the environmental studies that were provided, and anytime that anybody sees that there is a discrepancy on their property, this could be potentially something that we may see more of if it may hinder some of the development on their property, just due to maybe some of the discrepancies in mapping. But an EIS would always typically determine that through an environmental consultant.
And are there any implications for the fact that they've already put down a concrete pad if we didn't approve this?
Well, through the zoning, it just wouldn't permit them to build in that area because it is considered environmental protection.
I think we'd be hard pressed to deny the zoning if they've gone to the work to prove with the right professional that this is the accurate EP boundary. How would we be able to deny the zoning? We put it on the applicant that they have to prove it. If the mapping says it's this, we have to agree with that. So then we throw it back to them, tell us differently, get a professional, and they did. So I don't, is that accurate, Chris? Jeff?
Correct. And I'd point to the attachment number 2 that was attached with our report, which shows the difference in the lines there. So if you are looking at it, we do show where the current boundary of the EP area is, which you could see is, you know, the environmental protection area doesn't go through there. So you can see that there is some discrepancies at least in this area. And then us showing where the actual environmental protection area is to the south of the property, which was further delineated by the environmental protection area and by a survey that was received through the Greg Bishop surveying. We also built in to the environmental protection area, we also built in an 8-meter no development buffer, which was part of the environmental assessment, which was one of the technical recommendations of that assessment. So we've actually further delineated that boundary to provide that 8-meter buffer. So no development can happen within that area.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yes, and I think it's important for council to know that the environmental protection layer was first implemented and created in 1990. So things, boundaries of wetlands have certainly changed over the last 30 years. And there are going to be instances where these boundaries or outdated boundaries in some instances affect development. And this process, as outlined by our official plan, is available to property owners to rectify this issue.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so there is a resolution. Good question though, Councillor Smith, because I actually, to your point, I think we'll see it more and more as development seems to be growing here. We just look at our building permits and how that's continuing, and people are going to be building in lands and where you know, and want to be able to put a house in a certain location, but it is up to that applicant to prove that. So I have a resolution to be passed in the public meeting, which recommends to council that we, just that we receive it in the public meeting. So I'll need a mover, or seconder for that. Councillor McKechnie and Councillor Wood Roberts. Be it resolved that the report for the lands of 1429665 Ontario Limited, known as Dysart Creek Subdivision, which consists of part lot 4, plan 637, geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al., be received for information, and that council directs a bylaw be brought forward for consideration during its November 24th, 2020 regular meeting. And the council approves the proposed bylaw 2020-73. All in favor? And that's carried. So that concludes our public meeting portion. So I need a mover and seconder to adjourn the public meeting. Councillor Donaldson, Councillor Smith. We're finally getting used to this format, I think. Be it resolved that council hereby adjourns the public meeting at 9:16 a.m. All in favor? And that is carried. So that means we are back in regular session, which means we have our first delegation. And so Lori will bring them in, and it's from the Gardens of Haliburton, which we all see going up. It's very exciting. I'm really thrilled to have this delegation come forward today and to speak about the development. So we have Patty Lou Robinson, who is the Director of Community Relations, and we have Phil McKenzie, who's the Director of Marketing and a partner in Gardens of Haliburton. Hi, Patty Lou, how are you? And we've got Phil just joining us now. So just take yourself off mute. Hi,
Good
Phil.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And Patty Lou, you'll need to unmute yourself, I believe. Yeah, there'll be a little mute button on the bottom left, I believe it is. Or just right around in the box where your name is. If you hover over yourself, and there you go.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we have a nice little slide presentation that's included in our package, and are we doing a share screen?
Phil is going to do a share screen.
Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Phil and Patty Lou.
So, Madam Mayor, members of council, thanks very much for the opportunity to present. Patty Lou and I looked at this and decided the format that we would take is who, what, where, why, and how much. And I think we've got a little Q&A after this presentation. So if we don't cover any of your questions or all of your questions in our who, what, where, why, and how much format, then please feel free to ask whatever questions you'd like. So what is the Gardens of Haliburton? And what role does it play? We appeal to people over the age of 75. And the research would tell you that 70% of people over the age of 75 will need assistance of some kind. And where do they go to find that assistance? Well, 11% find it in long-term care. And long-term care is typically defined as more than an hour and a half of care per day. 7% find it in retirement residences like ours. And people are typically surprised to find that 82% live on their own, live with family, and have care coming from family caregivers, from home care, find the assistance that they need, and live in their own homes. And a lot of people have the impression that there's this progression over your life, that you live in your own home, at some point you move into a retirement residence, you move into a long-term care. And for many people, that's not actually the progression. So who are we? Well, the Gardens of Halliburton typically, or in these projects, there are sort of three partners. One that you might have met along the way, Bill Martimay. Bill's been doing this for a very long time. There was a press interview, and they asked us to add up how many years of experience we had. When I quickly got to over 100, I thought maybe that was a bit embarrassing, as opposed to reassuring. But Bill's been doing this for a very long time. I've been in the business on the marketing and sales side of things for about 30 some years. And our operator has been doing this. It's a family business that's existed for over 30 years as well. So the Gardens is obviously new to Halliburton. The people behind it have been doing this for a long time. A little nicer, warmer day. And so the most important person in the community for us is on the right, Patty Lou, our Director of Community Relations. And I will say that, you know, our product is not something that's aspirational. So, you know, you never have a couple drive by a retirement residence and say, you know, Martha, if everything worked out perfectly, wouldn't it be great one day we could live in that retirement residence? We're a very needs-driven product, and people come to us because something's not working in their current situation. And for individuals and for families, there can be some tough decision making. And Patty Lou's doing a terrific job of having those discussions with people. That being said, I've met, I think, pretty much everybody who has signed a reservation and reserved one of the suites. And I will say, we have some of the most fun and funniest people who are coming in who have signed up already. And so retirement residences sort of take on a personality, and they take on the personality of the people who live there. This is going to be a very fun place for a lot of people to live. So where is it? That's pretty easy, but I'm sure I don't have to give the address to anybody on this Zoom call, but it is interesting what was there before and what's there now. And this has come along nicely since we took this picture. We're looking at an opening date of May 1st in 2021. So why? So as I said, we're a needs-driven product, and there are typically three reasons why people look to move to a retirement residence. One is they're not eating properly and all the health repercussions of that. One is they're not driving anymore and they may have lost their license, and they need services to come to them. And the other is maybe because they lost a spouse, maybe because at that age you start to lose the friends that are meaningful to you, and you end up in your situation just being lonely. And so those are the three big motivating factors. And if you see our advertising, we'll try to speak to those motivating factors. So this is one of the ads that we run that lets people know that there is an opportunity to find new friends, and they are literally right down the hall. And so when you see our messaging, when you see our advertising, you'll know what we're doing in trying to speak to those three motivating factors. So when we're looking at the leasing office now open, it opened August 1st. It's in the Village Barn, right in the middle of town. Lovely little spot, and easy to find, and easy to find parking. Maybe not quite as easy with the Christmas tree there, but the Christmas tree's lovely. And as I said, we'll essentially take possession of the building. We think sort of the middle of March, beginning of April, and then our decorator will be able to go in. She'll be able to do her work, get it all outfitted. We'll have staff that are all hired for April 1st. There'll be about a month of training, and we'll be ready to go May 1st. And that's the who, why, where, what, and how much would be somewhere between $29.95, which, yes, is a marketing number, just under $3,000 a month for the accommodation and all of the services. And that's the smallest unit. The biggest unit gets you to about $5,000 a month. And I recognize if it's the first time that you hear those numbers, it may come as a bit of a surprise. Somewhere between 60 and 70% of our cost is labor. And so the biggest factor in the pricing is the labor that provides the services. And so we'll open this up. If anyone has questions for Patty Lou or myself, please feel free.
Well, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm just going to I've just got to move my screen over your top of yours so I can see everybody to see if there are questions. There we go, drag along from counselors. I just want to say how exciting it has been to see this building go up. And, you know, it's been a long time when the college closed there and the property was going to be several different things. And it's really nice to see this actually come to fruition. Housing is a huge need in our community, and this is just one more option for people. So I just think it's fabulous. Building looks great. Looks like construction's going well, and luckily everything's all closed in, so it's now they're warm and toasty inside. So questions from the floor. I did see Councillor Clark. Go ahead. Then Councillor Smith.
Yes, nursing care. I take it there's going to be 24/7 nursing care,
So
or nurses on site anyways for both Medicaid, both the distribution of medication and also just kind of following up on small things.
yes, nurses and PSWs who
Okay.
can provide hands-on professional care. So my comment about long-term care, typically they talk in terms of an hour and a half of hands-on care per day.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, we would provide everything up to that hour and a half of care.
Okay.
Now, there's 30,000 people on the long-term care waiting list. And there has been an impact of COVID in 2020 for sure. There's still about 30,000 people on the waiting list for long-term care. So we provide what we call independent living, which gives you the opportunity to access nursing and the hands-on care of PSWs. We have 2 levels of assisted living above that, which essentially takes us to about an hour and a half or 2 hours of care, hands-on care per day. And you can also get services and care on an a la carte basis. So if there's just something in particular that you need, then you can simply contract for that service, not the bundle of services that takes you to essentially assisted living 1 or assisted living 2. But from the level of service that you would have in your residential home to long-term care, we're kind of the only game in town. So we want to be able to cover that area well. And that's why we have independent living and then 2 levels of assisted living on top of that. Our model is that you come in, you pick the unit that you like, and it becomes home. And if you need more service, we bring it to you. So we're not going to ask you to move to an assisted living floor or move to a different part of the building or another building. You stay where you are, and we just increase the level of care and service that you need.
Sounds good, Phil. Thanks very much.
Councillor Smith?
Thank you. I was in to see Patty Lou a couple of months ago, and she gave me all the information about your accommodations and the progress you've made there, which is terrific to hear. One thing we didn't talk about that your comments direct me towards, Phil, is staffing. You mentioned that you're going to be hiring people. Is that process started yet? Where do people go or contact if they think they have the qualifications? Beyond nurses and PSWs, are there other positions you're looking to fill? And is there any preference being given to the local folks in terms of those positions?
I think Patty Lou. So Patty Lou, as our very first employee, we gave preference to a local person for sure. Patty Lou the other day, no, this morning, literally said, "Oh, that's somebody I don't know." And I wrote her a note back that said, "Seriously, there's somebody in Haliburton you don't know?" It's the first person that she hasn't known. And so no question, John, there's it's been interesting because one of the challenges of building retirement residences in smaller communities is labor. And so, at the risk of stroking you guys, you've created a place that obviously a lot of people want to come back to, because I would say half of the people who are applying for jobs through our website are people who want to come back to Haliburton. And so, and it's a theme that you see consistently. And it's actually made me think, as we take this model to other places, we may not always have that advantage. But we're hiring the general manager in the next 2 weeks. Leading candidate, so everybody has some affiliation to Haliburton, either grew up there, has family there, cottage there their whole lives, want to finish their career in Haliburton. There's always an affiliation. And so because of that, it looks like we should be able to fill all of the positions from what we're seeing in terms of the demand for those positions. We should be able to fill them. And so general manager will be the next couple of weeks. And then as soon as we get into the new year, then the other management positions for activity director, food and beverage, director of care, which we would call director of wellness, manager of again, what we would call environmental, which is housekeeping and maintenance of the building. And then we'll start with the hourly positions. And then add in the hourly positions. So servers in the dining room, housekeepers, and nurses and PSWs. And so as I said, we've gotten really good response from the website. So, and we'll start in the new year, we'll also be on hiring sites like Indeed. And so the word will be out there. All of those positions are available. And as I said, we've been really pleased with the response that we've gotten already.
Okay, thank you for that. I have a further question, and then I'll see if there's any other counselors that have one. In terms of your marketing, so maybe I'll put this on Patty Lou. I mean, it's I do scroll through Facebook often, and I see the ads there. I've seen the ads locally. How much have you done in terms of marketing outside of Haliburton County for residents to move here?
Actually, Phil, you would be better to address that.
Right. So,
Okay.
But thanks.
Andrea, it's interesting as you look at, so as I said, I've been doing this for a very long time. And I think I'm on to something like 61 or 62 developments. And what you find is that there's a primary market area. And when you get the building filled, if you go back and you ask people where they came from, on average, the makeup of your resident population will be 70% people who call this area home, or whose adult, and the other 30% are people whose adult children call this area home. And so in the case of Haliburton, then as you go down the road to some of the towns around, if they don't have a retirement residence, then we'll look to put our messaging there, because it's reasonable that they would come to Haliburton. If they have a retirement residence there, they're not likely going to come to Haliburton unless there's something wrong with that retirement residence. And so I'm not telling you that, we would go marketing in Bobcaygeon because of the issues that they had in Bobcaygeon, but it's reasonable to think that people in Bobcaygeon might be looking outside of that for long-term care or retirement, and projects that would be.
So mainly the marketing is here because it's not only marketing to the potential people that might move in, but it might be marketing to someone. Well, Patty Lou, I mean, can use your own example is I believe you said your mother's moving.
That's right.
Here. So it means, like you say, the adult children. Just keeping an eye on the time. I'll just see if there's any more questions, but I really appreciate this update. And here you are opening a retirement residence in COVID. So hopefully it's a different climate, a different picture. By May 1st next year, there are some vaccines available, but either way you must plan that there may not be. So you have to be opening and have all those safe protocols in place, I imagine. So any further questions from councillors? No, well, thank you very much. It's like I say, it's great to see the building go up, and we wish you all the best. This is a wonderful addition to our township, but to the county. It's something that we never had here, something that so many people have had to move away because we didn't have this option. So it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks
I do have a resolution to receive the presentation, so I'll need a mover seconder to receive. Councillor Donaldson, and everybody put their hands up, and Councillor Clark. So I said, Councillor Donald said, Councillor Clark, be it resolved, the council acknowledges receipt of the presentation provided by Phil McKenzie and Patty Lou Robinson, including the gardens of Halliburton. Introducing, excuse me. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, so we will say goodbye to Phil and Patty Lou, and we have another delegation. And I believe we have our staff member Roberts joining us as well, correct? So we'll just wait till the next delegation comes into the meeting. So we have our bylaw enforcement officer, Robert Mashia, and we have Todd and Andrea Allen joining us. And I think, hello, Todd.
Good morning.
Good morning. Is Andrea with you, or are you in the same?
Yeah, and she's with our children. She wasn't able to join us. My apologies.
No problem. You're that's fine. So what I thought we'll do is, Robert, I'm going to turn it over to you to give us a little brief up. I mean, we have it in our agenda package, but if there's anything you want to particularly highlight about the order and things that happened, I've never experienced this on council before, where we're asking to appeal a muzzle order. This is new to me. So go ahead, Robert.
New to me as well, Madam Mayor. So with the passing of the new canine bylaw, we've added in there a section 4, which is dangerous dog / muzzle order. We put it in there just for when bites happen and people think that the dogs are dangerous to them, or myself, if I think that the dog is dangerous as well, we can put these orders in to have the dogs muzzled when they're off property. When they're on property, they would have to be secured to the side yard or the rear of the building of their residence. On August 14th, as you can see in the package that is in the agenda there, the dog was running at large onto the road and tried to attack the complainant and managed to get a nick on her leg and cause some bleeding. I would say that's about a 2-inch, maybe 3-inch deep enough scratch to draw blood. She did want the dog to be declared dangerous, so paperwork was started for her declaration on that, and from there an order was issued. Also, that the owners of the dog was also issued a fine for allowing the dog to run out onto the road. As you can see, it's against our bylaw to have the dogs running at large, and that they must be secured by a leash or a harness when exiting onto public road and off their property. Not much more from there that I can add. I feel that it's straightforward for what happened in the steps in the investigation there. And if there's any questions council may have on it, I do my best to answer them.
So the muzzle order means that when the dog is off property, the dog
Correct.
must wear a muzzle.
Yes,
Not just be on a leash.
correct. It would
Right,
have
so
to be leashed and muzzled.
At least and muzzled, and where it's
Yep.
on their property, fenced in, they do whatever they want. They can, as long as the dog is secure on the property.
The dog would have to be secured to the side yard, either in a fenced off area or by a leash that can hold the dog. Not
Okay.
easily, not a weak leash that would snap if the dog pulled hard enough.
Yeah. So Todd, you are appealing this, you and Andrea. So do you want to explain why you're asking for the appeal?
Sure, I would love to. Thank you, Mayor Roberts and councillors for making the time to hear our appeal today. We don't disagree with anything that Robert had stated. we acknowledge that that did happen on August 14th. We've been with steps since that to completely fence our property and gate it as well, so that there's secure boundaries. And we've kept Bija, our dog, on a leash whenever we're outside with him, or we put up a run at the back of the property where he can be tied but have a good amount of room to move around. So, we respect the spirit and intention of this bylaw. We don't wish to be with the requirement of the muzzle whenever he's on property, or if we did, he's not very often off property unless we go away. But if we were to go away, to have that requirement as well. We feel that this has been an incident with this particular woman. It did happen once before that Bija came out on the road towards her. There wasn't a bite. The isolated incidents with Bija. It's not like he's been a threat to other people along the very line that have passed by. However, I witnessed my brother getting bitten by a dog when I was, when we delivered Sears catalogs as a kid. And, I understand there's still a traumatic feeling when I, relive that experience. And I can connect with some of the trauma that the victim may or might have felt. And that's not something that we wish to have, connected with us and our property. And, we have beneficial boundaries for Bija, which we feel we now have in place. Our direct neighbor, John Curry, wrote a letter on his behalf, and he'd had some challenges with Bija when we first moved here as well, about some of the property line. So we wish that to be taken into consideration, and the fact that we've secured our property and we have Bija secured when he is outside, and we could be without the muzzle order.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up to questions or comments. Councillors, you see in your package, we have a choice basically to confirm the muzzle order, just so it stands, which means that the dog must be muzzled when off property. Or we can rescind the muzzle order, and then still the bylaw stands, which means the dog must be on a leash when he's off property. But anyway, so questions, comments in favor of which resolution? Well, we have two resolutions, so we need to open the floor up to something. Councillor Smith.
All right. Well, to get the discussion going, I'm going to move that we confirm the muzzle order. It's a difficult decision, to say the least. In my mind, there's no obvious answer, and I recall a few months ago, Todd reached out to me with regard to this situation. But I think back, to my own experience and the unpredictability of dogs, particularly with strangers. And Todd, you mentioned the experience with your brother. I know it shocked me to learn several years ago now, that 1.5 times a day, a letter carrier, just a mailman, is bitten by a dog. And there's something unpredictable about the situation, to say the least. But it's with strangers. Todd, your neighbor, may feel very safe and secure now with the dog, but a strange person going by, can encounter certain risk, and as we saw here, and again, in my experience, once it's happened, once a dog has demonstrated this unpredictable behavior, there's a good chance it'll happen again. And so, although this is going to be, I'll say inconvenient for you, particularly such a short time after this incident. It's it happened in August. It's only a few months ago, the dog's a few months older, but I think there's still a risk. It's my concern. And given that, I think we need to, if we're going to err on the side of safety, if you like, as opposed to taking a chance. And therefore, I'm, as I said, prepared to move that we confirm the muzzle order.
Okay, and as I said, I mean, I do see Deputy Mayor Kennedy and then Councillor Wood Roberts. You know, it is a difficult thing, but it isn't cruel to the animal to put a muzzle on. In fact, sometimes it actually calms, you know, a dog down. And I'm a dog lover, believe me, I am. I commend you for doing all the work on your property to keep the dog secure and fenced in. This really is only requesting that when the dog is off property, which you just said isn't very often, that the dog wear a muzzle. And it doesn't hurt the animal to put that on. It's not a cruel thing, it's a safety thing. So I'll open it up to Deputy Mayor Kennedy and then Councillor Wood Roberts. We
Yeah,
do
thank
have a
you.
meeting
And, thanks, Todd, for your the efforts you're making to secure your buddy, Bijou. Is there an appeal like a year from now? Like if you go to jail, you still get a chance to get out. Further to what Councillor John was talking about, the timing, I would, you know, if we're only a few months after this incident, I concur muzzle for now, but is there an opportunity, I'll maybe just direct this to Robert, that this could be appealed again?
I haven't seen anything. Don't have anything written in the bylaw for a multiple appeals. I guess that's something we can look at to see if we can allow something like that. And if council wishes to have something allowed like that, or with a limit of like 2 appeals, if that's what council decides. Right now in our bylaw, we don't have anything under that saying multiple appeals.
Unfortunately, Todd's sort of the first one down this path, and so,
unfortunately.
Anyways, I'll thank you.
Okay. Councillor Wood Roberts, go ahead.
Well, that was just my question. I mean, as dogs age, they do mellow out somewhat, and I totally 100% appreciate that he's making a secure area for his dog. So yeah, my question was the same as Mr. Kennedy's. Is this something that can be reviewed in like 4 to 6 months? Is my only question. And the muzzle needs to be on when it's off property, correct?
Correct. Only when off property.
Pardon me?
Only when off property.
Only when off property, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And the dog is not off property that often, and only in the municipality of Dysart. We have no enforcement anywhere else. So for instance, if you went to visit family in Toronto, I don't know where, we have no authority there. Councillor Clark?
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. As a township, and if we're aware of a situation, would we be liable if, if I took the dog off property and it did in fact bite somebody, the township, for not enforcing the bylaw, would we then be named in a suit? So there is a dollar charge or dollar concern that we have to be aware of as well, as in terms of maintaining the bylaws that we've got. Thank you.
Okay, so I did have a mover. Okay, Councillor McKechnie there. Councillor Smith has moved that we confirm the order to muzzle. So go ahead, Councillor McKechnie.
Yeah, Todd, I feel bad for you. I'm a dog lover myself, but in our municipality, we had an awful thing happen here a few months ago in regard to a dog attack with a young child. So unfortunately, your dog did bite somebody, and I think that for now, the dog definitely should be muzzled. You're providing a great space for it to run and everything on putting a fence up. But right now, I think we would be being very irresponsible with what's happened a few months ago with that dog attack in town here. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. Can I take that as a seconder to the motion, or?
Sure.
May I have another opportunity to speak?
Todd and then Councillor Smith.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I can understand each of your points of view. I'd be happy if we could revisit this, if this is the direction that it's going to move, that it be confirmed. If we could revisit in a few months, would appreciate that. I do also have some concerns about the lack of due process within this bylaw. And the fact that we are proven guilty before proving ourselves innocent. You know, the fact that there's legislation written in our community that is in direct violation of Section 7 of the Charter on Rights and Freedoms. It's enshrined in the Constitution. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I do feel that the spirit and the intention of this bylaw is one that is just. I do reiterate that this was, you know, an isolated incident. There was an incident with this woman the year before in June of 2019, and then in August. I don't know. I do feel, you know, being quite intuitive and empathic, there's some connection between the two, but when it hasn't been directed towards others, you know, I wish to make that, you know, I'll make that a point that I feel is important. And I wish you to take those things into consideration, and particularly the lack of due process that's within this legislation. I do feel, you know, from working in politics years ago that, you know, there could be legislation that's there that has some more due process involved that would withstand a, you know, a legal challenge.
Well, I think process has happened here, so don't necessarily agree with that. It is a new bylaw just to have the muzzle, but this is a bylaw that is in other municipalities, towns, cities all over. And sadly, as the story that Councillor McKechnie relayed, that dog was ordered put down. This is a muzzle. It's just a little thing over the snout. It's not harming the dog in any way, and it's keeping the people that are out. Can people still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I have completely lost my screen. So I did see a hand from Councillor Smith. We may have to take a pause here in a second, or I'll just use somebody else's screen. Pardon me. I'll look this way. So I do feel that there was process. Councillor Smith, you wanted to still speak?
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to, you know, I not say formalize, but, you know, encourage Todd to come back, not in a couple of months, but at least a year after the incident. So think, you know, if this happened August 2020, let's talk again, you know, in the fall of 2021. And that's, you know, less than a year from now, but let's go a full year before you come back and tell us that the dog is, you know, is well behaved and so forth. But again, you know, it's, as I said, it's not easy, and every councillor that's spoken has said the same thing. There's no, you know, it's a tough thing to say, but it's protecting the public, and that needs to be our first responsibility. So I'm sorry about the outcome, but I think that's the right answer.
Okay, so I'm just having some technical problems, but I've got support right here, which is great. And I did have a mover, Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor McKechnie. Be it resolved that council hereby confirms the order to muzzle issued to owner Andrea Lithgow for her dog Bija on August 24th, 2020. All in favor? And that is carried. And we can review perhaps in a year as suggested. Next, we have one more delegation, which is from Places for People. We've got Jody Curry, Max Ward, and Faye Martin. Was it only a month ago they were here? 2 months. I believe. They'll remember. I can't remember. And your screen has frozen. Oh no, it's really lagging. Yeah, we're having technical difficulties. You can just look at my profile. Who cares? You can hear my voice out there in the council world and in the YouTube world, and that's I've got a screen here that I can view, and I'll look this way. So we're bringing in our delegation. Just like that. Thank you. No. Sorry. Okay, sorry everyone for the little pause here. We've got Jody Curry. Okay. Okay, and just don't forget to unmute. I can see you now this direction, which is great. Okay, welcome Jody and Max and Faye. Was it 2 months ago you were here as a delegation?
About
The
that,
September
yes.
meeting. Don't forget. Yeah, okay, I was thinking, was it last month, 2 months ago? And you presented your ambitious plans to build units by, is it 2022? Anyway, I'll turn it over to you. And if we do have some potential property that we've discussed. And so actually well, if you don't mind, sorry, I'm a little discombobulated here, getting a little technical difficulty. What I'd like to do before the delegation speaks is I'd like to turn it over to Deputy Mayor Kennedy, who's been working with you this last little while on a potential project. And so Deputy Mayor Kennedy, if I can turn it over to you to update us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, this started quite a while ago as with the housing summit, almost a year ago, I guess now. Identified housing as a major issue here, and the Places for People group of I like to call them a dynamic trio. They're motivated beyond belief, inspirational when I get talking to them, and then out of our own visioning session that we had in 2019, we identified as a council housing was a major issue for us and a major challenge. So Councillor Clark and myself have been working with Places for People over the last few months and other groups. Through the infrastructure committee, we have identified a number of properties that were suitable for disposal. And the two sort of came together, and we've been talking more and more lately. And a piece of properties that we felt was suitable for the type of development the Place for People would be interested in. We presented that to them. And at this point, I'm anxious to hear what their response is to our offer. I guess maybe that's the next step. I think I know the answer, but I'm not just sure what the next step in the procedures are, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Well, we do have the resolution in our package, which actually identifies the property. So I'm going to let cat out of the bag and so mute, Deputy Pat, you're on mute still.
Is that resolution further down? Sorry.
Well, I have it in front of me, so I'm sorry. I'm saying included in our package. It is.
All right.
The resolution does identify the property.
So the property that we've been discussing back and forth a number of times and looking at it and is the property beside the bus lines on Wallings Road. It's a suitable piece of property. We believe it's close to the town for walking. It's very close on the sewage line, so no problems there. We've completed a road needs study as well, and which have to be vetted by the county, I understand. But we've got a number of tools in place, and so the zoning would have to be changed. But that's the property that we're proposing to the Places for People group, and I'm excited about moving this project forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So now we'll turn it over to and let Faye, Jody, and Max decide who wants to go first, and let us know what you like if we on that property and what you see working there.
Thank you very much, Deputy or Madam Roberts, Madam Mayor Roberts. And I'm a little nervous. I'm sitting in my car because my internet doesn't work at home today.
That's okay.
Anyway, I want to thank you and all of council for allowing us to speak today. And a special big thank you to Deputy Mayor Pat Kennedy and Councillor Larry Clark, because they've spent a couple of months now working with us and getting to know us. And I really appreciate the time that's taken, because I think it makes a difference when we have a good relationship. So we're here to further the conversation we've had previously about the Wallings Road property. And we're excited to hear that it may absolutely be possible that you may grant us this property. We're very excited, our board's very excited, and our development committee is over the moon. We've been searching for property for 2 years now. We've done a lot of homework that I want to share with you. And for us, this is just a perfect fit. So we can't say enough good things about this piece of property. So we have been working for 2 years to develop this type of housing. Over the past 6 months, we have assembled a design team that includes an architect, an engineer, planning consultants, and community members that are enthusiastic, and they're all very ready to get the job done. We spent many hours with experts regarding our financial and fundraising plan. We are interested and are planning to raise a community bond to help fund this project, and there's been a substantial uptake on that idea, and it's a new way of raising money that the community is involved in, and I think it's really going to be a big boon to not only us but to the community in general to learn about this alternate source of funding. So that's one thing we've really worked a lot on. We are aware of what it's going to take to develop this property. As I said, for 2 years now, we've been looking at different pieces and had some disappointments, but we never say stop. We just keep going and looking for another piece. So we are looking forward to working with you and your staff to create housing that you are going to be proud of. We already have draft plans and ideas for this type of development, but we are aware that the very study set out in the planning process will inform us of the best way to develop the property. We have no desire to overbuild. We believe that everybody needs a little bit of green space in their lives. And together with you and your team, we will determine how to best balance the 3 major components of this development that we see as, number one, the great need for rental housing here in the village of Haliburton. Huge. The second component, our desire to create good, healthy housing that incorporates green space and green initiatives at a scale that is appropriate to the neighborhood. That's very important to us. And the third factor is, of course, affordability. We are all about affordable housing. If you can't afford it, there's no point in building it in our mind, or we don't want to build it anyway. So we are also very aware of the challenges that the regulations around the supply of water pose. So if granted approval to proceed on this parcel, we will be looking for support, advice, and assistance in dealing with those and any other challenges we find along the way. We are strong believers in the power of community, people helping people, and we've learned that the more we talk about our problems, the more answers can be found. So if you want to know how we operate and what we're about, I believe I asked that our mission statement be included in your package. I'm not going to read it to you. You're all good readers and you're busy people. So I just wanted to say that on behalf of the Board of Directors of Places for People, Haliburton's Highlands, Inc., that's our new name, we ask that you strongly consider partnering with us to create housing that is much needed, scaled appropriately, and affordable. Let P4P create this housing for our community. You can rest assured that it will be well managed and maintained for many years to come. And I want to thank Dysart for providing a great, big, exciting light in our future. And we're hoping you're going to make it a green light because if we do this together, we can definitely make it happen. Now, Faye Martin's here. She's our vice chair and founding member of Places for People. So she has a big chunk of P4P's history that she can talk about or answer questions about. I'm the present president. I have a planning background, so I'm familiar with how we're going to move ahead together with Jeff Isles and the rest of your planning department. We're looking forward to that. And Max Ward is our treasurer extraordinaire. He has a degree in economics and is a minister and involved in many volunteer boards. So he's got a great background in how to raise money and fundraise. So we would be happy to answer any questions you have about what we propose to do.
Thank you, Jody. You did a great job there. This is really exciting news for Dysart, for Places for People, again, for the county. This can draw people from wherever. The infrastructure committee one of the very first things we did was, and Pat, you were chair, was identify all of the properties that Dysart owned, and not every little small triangular chunk, but buildable properties that we owned, and try to see, do they fit to our corporate image? Are there some we want to dispose? Are there some we want to, this one would be good for housing, this one would be, so we don't have a lot of property is one thing that we found out, but this was right away identified as an ideal place for some housing. So I think this is really exciting news that we're going to be partnering with you and moving forward with this. We, all have a desire to make sure that, as you talked about, Jody, that there is affordable housing, rental options for people to live and to live, safely and comfortably and with dignity. So this is very exciting. So I'm going to open it up to questions, comments. As I say, the resolution that is included is just that we support in principle the disposal of the property legally known as, and I won't read it till I read it, but on Wallings Road, to accommodate the development and construction. The next step would then be we'd enter into a memorandum of understanding so that we're clear on who's doing what in terms of costs of studies and rezoning and those types of things. So questions from councillors, comments, either or Faye or Max. Councillor Clark, go ahead.
Yeah, just to comment, this is a very exciting initiative, and it is so important to this community, both in terms of our sustainability, but also our economic viability, to have a place for affordable homes or housing where people that run or operate and service this community can have an opportunity to live. We've been very stressed with COVID and inward migration of people that's very substantially reduced rental and available housing for people to come in and do the jobs. You talked about any business in town, and there's no place for them to be able to house staff, even if they wanted to hire staff. So this is a critical element for this community, and we can't be more pleased that you've taken on this initiative to support our community. Thank you.
Any other comments? Faye or Max want to speak to it at all?
Only if there's questions. I think you probably have a pretty good idea of who we are and what we do. So we're here to listen.
Yes, from your presentation before, and so I think that's sort of what sparked it, and that's how we got to where we are today. So we have the resolution, and then I think the next step we would do is form a subcommittee that's working with you. So Deputy Mayor Kennedy and Councillor Clark and myself, and maybe we can, with staff, go through so that we can create that memorandum of understanding between Dysart and your organization to proceed with what the next steps would be in terms of rezoning and as Jody referenced, the water agreements and all the things that fall under the whole planning of a project like this. So all good news. So I'll need a mover and a seconder for this resolution. Deputy Mayor Kennedy and Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that council supports in principle the disposal of the property legally known as Concession 8, Part Lot 14, Registered Plan 19R 2645, Part 1 on Walling Road to accommodate the development and construction of affordable housing by Places for People. All in favor? And that's carried. Excellent. So we'll be in touch with the, yay, I know, clap, clap. We will be in touch with creating some meeting dates and so how we can work on the next steps and getting that MOU together. And it may be a little tight for time with this being already the end of November, but we'll keep the ball rolling on this one.
Thank you very much,
great.
Andrea.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jody,
you,
and Max, for all the work you do. You guys are shining lights of volunteerism in our community, so thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to ask, we have had 3 delegations, which takes lots of sort of energy. Are people wanting a break? Just put your hand up if you feel you'd like a 10-minute break. Mallory, you'd like a
I
break?
just want to point out that, yeah, the internet's quite patchy right now, so a break might be a good idea anyway.
I think it would be a great idea. I'm either looking
Yeah.
at no screen or frozen screen. So let's take a 15-minute break to 10:30, and hopefully the internet will be a little not lagging as much. So 10:30, we will reconvene. Okay, so we are back from our recess, and the next thing we have is the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole, which was from our November 10th meeting. Any questions, comments? If not, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder for that. Mover, seconder, please. Okay, sorry, Deputy Mayor Kennedy and Councillor McKechnie. Be it resolved that the recommendations from the November 10th, 2020 meeting of the Dysart et al. Committee of the Whole be adopted by Council. All in favor? And that is carried. And next we'll move into planning and land information. We've got a few items here, so we'll just wait till our staff come in. We'll bring in Jeff and Chris. Okay. And the first file is the one that we just saw in our public committee. So I don't know if there's any further questions or comments from staff. No?
Staff don't have any further comments other than just that staff support the application and that council approve it.
Thank you. Okay, so mover seconder for this file? Councillor Donaldson, Councillor Wood Roberts. Be it resolved that council approve bylaw 2020-73 to amend bylaw 2005-120 for the lands of 1429665 Ontario Limited, which consists of Lot 4, Plan 637 in the geographic township of Dysart, which would change the zone on the subject lands from urban residential type 1 to environmental protection zone to urban residential type 1 and environmental protection zone to accurately delineate the existing EP area on the subject lands known as Schedule A, attached hereto and forming part of this bylaw, be read a first, second, third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, so the second file is
Mayor Roberts, can I ask a question on that last bylaw?
absolutely.
Just for planning staff, this is to amend the former zoning bylaw. Is that the correct wording that we want on that resolution?
I'll have to take a look at it
I'm
here.
reading the wrong thing.
No, you're reading the right thing. Sorry, this is a question for planning staff from their resolution that was included in the package.
Yes, thank you, Mallory. So the bylaw is still numbered bylaw 2005-120. The recent general
Perfect.
amendment to that bylaw was just an amendment to that bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
No, interrupt anytime because got to get these things correct. Okay, so we'll move on to 5B, which is the MOU for the HCSA and Fleming College. And staff, do you want to speak to that? Well, let's
Yes,
staff.
thank you, Mayor. Yes, as you mentioned, the next item is a bylaw to authorize the execution of a memorandum of understanding. At their meeting on November 10th, the Committee of the Whole passed a resolution recommending that Council approve in principle the execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Haliburton County Snowmobile Association and Sir Sanford Fleming College for the purpose of a snowmobile trail, which is located on the college property. The Snowmobile Association has since provided an updated agreement incorporating certain changes as requested by the municipality's insurance provider. The attached bylaw, being bylaw 2020-74, authorizes the execution of a memorandum of understanding. It should be noted that the Snowmobile Association are requesting that the memorandum of understanding be in effect until one of the parties terminates the agreement. And this is outlined in section 9 of that agreement. And I should note that this is consistent with past agreements similar to this one. Lastly, the committee did recommend that council pass this bylaw, and staff are here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for that. And questions from councillors, I believe. Questions from councillors on this? Okay, I saw Deputy Mayor Kennedy first and then Councillor Smith.
I just want to comment. This has been a work in progress for almost a year, and I really want to thank staff and HCSA as well for working so diligently. This has been not an easy file. It's a complicated when you have 3 parties involved in this kind of a thing. So I really want to thank Jeff and his team. I know we, and myself included, got a little frustrated with the lack of progress, but it's great to see this come forward today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith?
Yeah, thank you. So Jeff, you said this new agreement addressed the concerns or some of the concerns that our insurance company raised. At our committee of the whole meeting, you had some language that the our insurance provider had suggested as an amendment. Has that all now been incorporated into this version?
Thank you, John. No, it has not all been incorporated. As per the attachment, which was a letter from Jim Richard from the Snowmobile Association, they have included, or they have updated sections 3, 4, and 5 to include both the landowner and occupier, whereas previously the previous agreement only noted the landowner, which is the college.
Mm-hmm.
Any further question, Councillor Smith?
Well, so in terms of the risk to the municipality that were highlighted by our solicitor, an expert in these matters, and by our insurance company, another expert in these matters, we still have not addressed those concerns. Is that correct?
I have not circulated the most recent agreement to our solicitor or to our insurance provider. Having said that, it doesn't appear that they have made the changes as suggested by our solicitor or all of the changes as suggested by our insurance provider.
Okay, thank you. And so, Jeff, we chatted about this or exchanged emails. You reached out to some of the other municipalities in the county, and including Algonquin Highlands. And reaction did you receive from Algonquin Highlands with respect to these proposed amendments by the snowmobile clubs?
Yeah, you're correct. So during the processing of this request, I did reach out to the other lower tier municipalities within the county just to see if they were encountering similar requests from the Snowmobile Association. Algonquin Highlands, the planner there, was the only one that responded. And he did note that they have not had any recent requests from the Snowmobile Association. And he did note that he would have concerns moving forward with an agreement, whereas a municipal solicitor had concerns with the language within that agreement.
All right, thank you. So, Madam Mayor, you'll recall in the committee of the whole, I disagreed with proceeding with this agreement, and I reached out to Roma after the meeting. They directed me to OGRA, I'm not sure why, but the Ontario Good Roads Association, and our of which we're members. The representatives there brought to my attention that in fact these amendments that the snowmobile clubs have been asking for have been the cause of many private owners saying, I can't allow you to continue to have trails on my property, but also municipalities and conservation authorities. And so the Grand River Conservation Authority hasn't had snowmobiling on its property this past winter, the 19 to 20, and still don't have any agreement for snowmobiles to run in that conservation area. But also there are municipalities here in Eastern Ontario, for example. I would highlight the United Counties of Prescott and Russell, which again, because of the request from the Snowmobile Club to adopt the rules that were in the Ontario Association, that municipality hasn't been able to reach agreement with its local snowmobile clubs, and therefore there's no snowmobiling going on there. So I remain concerned, not trying to prohibit snowmobiling, but as our solicitor pointed out, and as our insurance company pointed out, these proposed changes by the Ontario Federation of Snowmobile Clubs are transferring risk from the snowmobile clubs to the municipality, that is from snowmobilers onto taxpayers. And for us to proceed with this, when our solicitor has written us a letter and our insurance company has written us a letter expressing their concerns, and for us to adopt our own casual interpretation of those risks, concerns that were shared by professionals, and also now doing a little research and learning that other municipalities, again based on expert advice, have chosen not to proceed. It's of concern that we would appear to dismiss these risks so casually, and so I remain, as I said, supportive of snowmobiling in general, but to take these risks on behalf of our taxpayers in the face of professional advice to the contrary, without actually even having a live conversation with the solicitor and with the insurance company. I should have also mentioned that OGRA reached out to another insurance company, a professional that they deal with, and he also cautioned that there is the transfer of undue risk there, and that we're being too casual about this and supportive of snowmobiling, but we need to better understand the potential consequences of putting in place an agreement like this prior to passing the motion that's before us. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that, and thank you for your in-depth research. Jeff, can you remind councillors, because I don't have that fresh in my memory, nor do I have it in front of me written, the specific concerns that our lawyer had over the language? What does it all boil down to, as well as with our insurance? What are the specific let's get to the meat of it, if you can recall.
Thank you. I can quickly look into the file. I don't know if it's something I could quickly summarize. However, I can go through some of the recent comments that he provided to us, if you like.
Yes, yes.
So what the municipal solicitor noted was that the OFSC has initiated a change to the standard form agreement. And he notes obviously there must be some purpose or rationale for initiating such change. And is to limit the scope of the indemnification and its responsibility and liability and insurance coverage for injuries and damages that might be sustained on lands occupied by trails maintained by their associations and their clubs. He notes that in this case, an occupier, which is the Snowmobile Association, is trying to limit its responsibility and liability, which is not inherently a negative thing. However, the other parties being the occupier and the landowner being us and the college will be exposed to increased risk. He questions, he knows that there's questions that must be asked into why other parties would take on increased share of responsibility. In the absence of more certainty in the wording, the Snowmobile Association, he's noting that there's appears to be a shifting in the risk to the municipality. And then lastly, he notes that the municipality consult their insurance provider to determine what risk and coverage we would have for any incidents that may occur on those trails. And sorry, I didn't get into any specifics for you.
No, that's okay. But I think it is important to fully, have this conversation. My understanding, my recollection was that it was particularly to the off-season times, so that but maybe I'm wrong. So the Snowmobile Club has that right of way during the snow season only. And I think they were trying to reduce some of the risk on those off seasons. So for instance, if someone tripped and fell right now on this piece of property in question, the Snowmobile Club could not be named in that.
Sorry, I think what he was trying to suggest is that the language within the agreement that they're proposing leaves open many possibilities for circumstances that just can't be foreseen that would put us at increased risk. It doesn't talk about, so it talks about normal snowmobile use. So if they're on the trail maintaining it and it's something that's not for normal snowmobile use, then who's at risk?
Okay.
Sorry, and I don't have that stuff in front of me, so it's hard for me to get into some of the examples he provided. But
that's
I think
okay.
that was.
So I see you, Councillor Smith. I'm just going to ask one quick question. One thing, technically, you say that the memorandum of understanding is, and once the agreement is signed, it's there till somebody changes it. So is this something that we could pass today, but still do further investigation and cancel? Is this something that Dysart has the ability to do? If we pass this resolution today, can we do further investigation and research and change it if we need, and deny it or whatever?
Well, so the way the resolution is worded today is that council is agreeing in principle. And the bylaw passed also notes that this agreement won't be signed until the Snowmobile Association has also reached an agreement with the college, which they are currently negotiating with the college. So even if you were to pass the resolution today, that agreement wouldn't be signed until the college and the Snowmobile Association had reached consensus. If they did reach consensus and we did sign the agreement, there is that clause 9 as being proposed by the Snowmobile Association, which says that the municipality could terminate the agreement with 60 days notice to the other parties.
So that's what I wanted to know. I'll go to Councillor Smith then, so that if we did go forward with it today and want to still do further investigation, that it doesn't mean that it ends here today. So Councillor Smith and then Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, thank you. Just with respect to your question about the impact of this, I've read quite a few documents in terms of the concerns for these other jurisdictions. And in fact, as I understand it, and again, I'm not a lawyer, our lawyer would be best able to describe this, but as I understand it, it's use for by persons who aren't snowmobiling, but it could be any time of year. So a person could be on the snowmobile trail, a trail that they probably wouldn't travel on during the winter with heavy snow on it, were it not groomed by the snowmobile clubs. And if something happened to that person who's not snowmobiling, we would be responsible as opposed to the snowmobile club. The snowmobile insurance provides protection for snowmobile activities, not for other activities on these trails. And you know, the rationale seems to be that, frankly, if the trail wasn't groomed, nobody's going to go out and go hiking or whatever on the trail. But again, I'm just taking that from the different documents I've read. You know, and Madam Mayor, with respect to your suggestion, it does require 60 days notice, you know, for us to cancel it. We have another council meeting coming up December the 15th, if I recall. We are not going to have snowmobile weather based on the forecast for the next 14 days before then. And so I would encourage council to have staff do some further research. Maybe we get our solicitor on a call with interested councillors. We have a more detailed discussion so that we understand the risks, all of the risks, prior to authorizing the execution of this MOU. And again, that could be done at that meeting on December the 15th.
Okay, Councillor Donaldson?
Yeah, first, Pat, do you know how many property owners the Snowmobile Club has that has to sign these MOUs?
I don't have a specific number, but it'll be every one of them.
It's a lot.
And I know that Councillor Smith raises some good points. Some of the properties have decided not to allow snowmobiling to proceed. I think we're in a bit of a unique position in that, as Councillor Smith states, if somebody walked on the trails and a tree fell on them, that would be, the Snowmobile Association is saying that's outside normal snowmobile activities. That would fall back to me, I would think, as the same as with our other recreational trails then, which we're already covered on. So I think I think there's that to it. And also I know in some areas, and I'd have to check on legalities, but I believe if you're on a snowmobile trail and you don't have a permit, that you're actually trespassing, which raises another legal piece to it. So, and we do have the ability to change or cancel with 60 days notice. So that, I think everyone on council knows my position on this file.
So, okay, so I have the MOU in front of me, and it does say that the landowner is additional insured. So we go under their insurance as well, and they have 15 million liability as well. And it does say that it from liability arising from grooming, maintenance, and use of snowmobile trail with respect to the snowmobile club to negligence. So I'm sure there's hundreds of property owners that are part of this. So, and if we take the lead on this and investigate it, then you're saying others are not signing it as well. It might be good for everybody, all the property owners, if we take the lead on this to find out exactly why they reworded it.
Councillor Clark? Thank you, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, could we make this conditional on us getting additional coverage through our insurer? Our main concern here, I think, as identified by Councillor Smith, is the township's liability on some aspects of this, and insurance companies are there for a reason. And, you know, it may cost us a few extra dollars, but I think it's as Deputy Mayor Kennedy has identified, the snowmobile associations bring a huge amount of business to this community. So it is important to our economic, our economic health. But maybe there is something we can do with regard to our insurers to provide a little bit of additional protection based on the fact that the Snowmobile Association is trying to limit their liability.
Councillor Donaldson again, go ahead.
It does also say the very first one, it says that it's a valid for a period commencing, and they have in there December 1st, 2020, and it says until ending. So I feel like whoever is filling out the form can put, it is an optional that you can put a deadline. So if we wanted to do the 1 year, then Jeff could just fill out that line there to say it ends at April 1st, 2021.
Or the other clause that we have though is the 60 days notice. So you don't put an end date, it goes on in perpetuity, but you do put a 60-day notice that I am a little hesitant of not signing this, I have to say, because I do not want to see the snowmobile traffic go all completely on Head Lake Bridge like it did last year. That was unacceptable. And I personally understand why would the snowmobile club want to be responsible if somebody is trespassing on property, or a tree falls, or someone's hiking on that. You know, they should, anyway, I sort of see why they're asking for this change, and we don't know, maybe there was an accident where somebody was cross-country skiing on a snowmobile trail when they shouldn't have been. We don't know the reason and the rationale for this. So we do have a resolution. We can move this and second it, but we can also give staff direction to continue to speak with our lawyers and other organizations, and you know, continue to pursue this and use the 60-day out clause if we feel that we are still at risk. So that's one option, is to sign today, or approve this resolution rather, and move the ball forward, but continue to do the research. Is there a desire to do that? Okay. Councillor Smith, go ahead.
And thank you. Again, given that we have a meeting scheduled for December the 15th, and snowmobiling will not start on either the bridge or on the trails prior to December 15th. And none of us are lawyers. I checked all of your backgrounds, and I know myself, I'm not a lawyer. And we pay, you know, significant sums to an outside lawyer for advice and expertise in these matters. And I can't help but, you know, note, you know, members of council here are actually speculating about interpretation of clauses, and we're making assumptions about trespassing on, you know, snowmobile trails, and whether that's permitted by cross-country skiers or not. And so I just have to question why we have an urgency to get this passed today. And I would strongly recommend we wait until December 15th and consult with the lawyer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just, the one downside of that is that meeting is in 3 weeks. Agendas get published a week prior. That gives less than 2 weeks. I highly doubt that we would have any new information in that quick a time frame, but again, we've got the resolution ahead. Councillor Donaldson?
Just real quick, the snowmobiles can take over the trails December 1st. So it depends on the snow conditions, and sometimes they're out getting the trails ready for when it is good to snowmobile. Like they might be packing before December 15th, and because we don't know what the weather's like. So it's the December 1st that they get the trail system, and the 15th may or may not be a good target number date.
Okay, so I think everyone's had fair chance to speak. Unless there's any new information, I will see if there's a mover and a seconder for this, and we can add a clause that says that and staff continue to get legal advice or legal opinion, and is it legal and insurance? Okay, so I have a resolution in front of me. Is there anyone who wants to move that? Councillor Wood Roberts, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kennedy.
For the record, could we have a recorded vote, please?
Yes, we may. Through the clerk, should I add further language in the resolution, or is a verbal?
I think further language in the resolution is a good idea.
Can you help me with that?
Yeah, of course. So we have the regular resolution, and then we can add, and further that staff will continue to consult with their legal representation and insurance. You're writing it as I talk?
Well, I can't.
I've got it typed out
So
too.
further that staff. Go again?
Yeah. Well, I've typed it as well,
So if you
Mayor
type
Roberts.
it, that's good,
yeah.
because I've, yeah, that would be great. So we've heard the addition on the resolution. So is that satisfactory to the mover and seconder? Nance and Pat? Okay, so moved by Councillor Wood Roberts, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kennedy. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-74, being a bylaw to authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with the Haliburton County Snowmobile Association and Sir Sanford Fleming College to grant the Snowmobile Association the authority to use and maintain the snowmobile trail located on Lot 15, Concession 9, further described as Parts 1 and 2 on Plan 19R7362 in the geographic township of Dysart, municipality of Dysart et al. Be read a first, second, and third time, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. The mayor and clerk will execute the memorandum of understanding upon execution by the HCSA and SSFC, and further that staff will
continue to consult with their legal representation and insurance company on this file. Is that a good way to write it, everyone?
Yes.
Okay.
So recorded vote. Mallory, can you take us through that?
Yep, of course. Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I support it.
Councillor Donaldson.
Support it.
Deputy Mayor Kennedy.
Yes.
Councillor McKechnie.
Mute. Unmute.
Yes, yes.
Councillor Smith.
No.
Councillor Wood Roberts.
Yes.
Mayor Roberts.
Yes.
Okay.
So that carries, and to address Councillor Smith's concerns, if you can ask that to be a priority to our lawyer, particularly, and our insurer. I know they're busy at this time. We may have further information at the December 15th meeting, and we can go from there. So thank you for that. Okay, we will move along to the next item, which is excuse me. Oh, this is also, it's going to be the same thing. So is there any further different information on this file on 5C than there was on the previous files, the same concerns?
I apologize. I'm working off an agenda that has a different order.
5C.
This is a similar request using the same agreement. Last year, council authorized the Snowmobile Association to use a municipally owned road allowance for the purpose of a snowmobile trail. At that time, the previous process to give this permission was the municipality standard acknowledgement form for permission to use a road allowance. The Snowmobile Association, similar to this, the previous file, read through the language within our standard acknowledgement form and had concerns with respect to how it affected liability on the snowmobile club. So they are coming back and requesting that we give that permission and continue to give that permission, but to replace the municipality's standard acknowledgement form with their proposed agreement.
Okay. So slightly different. Any questions, concerns? Is there a desire to have a recorded vote again, Councillor Smith? It's fair.
Well, in fairness, the same issue exists on this agreement as on the previous agreement.
Exactly.
But I don't need to put you through the misery of another recorded vote. I'm sure the vote will turn out the same. So, okay, thank you for
That's
the offer.
okay, but That's okay, no, but we could add to the resolution and further that, which is the similar language. It's, giving staff direction to continue in the same vein and to request our lawyer and our insurer. Can we add the same language to this resolution? Okay, so I'll need a mover and seconder unless there was further comment. Mover by Councillor Clark, seconder, Councillor McKechnie. It's a longer resolution to read. Be it resolved that the council authorize execution of the memorandum of understanding with the Haliburton County Snowmobile Association to grant the Snowmobile Association the authority to use and maintain the snowmobile trail located on part of the road allowance for the Peterson Road in lots 1, 2, 3, concession 1, geographic township of Guilford, municipality of Dysart et al. And further, that the attached MOU replaces and rescinds the MOU and the municipality's standard acknowledgement form for use of a road allowance approved by council on November 26, 2019. And further, that council imposes as a condition of approval that the HCSA is to enter into a master agreement with the municipality for all HCSA trails that are located on municipal property and or road allowances. And further, that
Staff will continue to consult with their legal representation and insurance coverage company on this file.
Okay, so all in favor? And opposed? Okay, it does carry. Thank you. And I'll add that to the paper form after, Mallory. I believe this is Councillor Donaldson's time to hit to your screen, just to stop your video. Perfect, thank you. And so it's a request to purchase short road allowance in Allen Lake. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Hayes have made an application to purchase their shore road allowance in front of their leased lands on Allen Lake for the purpose of demolishing and reconstructing their cottage, which is located on the shore road allowance. There is no record of a building permit for the cottage. However, it was first assessed in 1964 and its location is recognized pursuant to section 3.2.7 of the official plan. Staff requests direction and approval to process the application.
So just looking at the file in the photographs of the proximity to the water of some structures, are they building in the same location or moving back?
I agree, it is very close to the high water mark. Staff have not received a proposal or plans for where they plan to construct. There are provisions in the bylaw that would allow them to construct on that exact same footprint without increasing the height or size or area of encroachment. But perhaps they are moving it back. I apologize, we have not received that information.
That's okay, because right now all the request is to purchase the shore road allowance. But as Deputy Mayor Kennedy will recall in yesterday's special county meeting over the shoreline bylaw, I talked about that. It actually talked about that it not recommending that municipality not sell that shore road allowances, which I didn't understand, and I had said that I would speak with staff. There hasn't been time between yesterday and today. I said most often we do this is because there's legal non-conforming structures, and if someone wants to do anything with those structures, they have to purchase the shore road allowance. There's lots of other times when people want to purchase the shore road. But in light of the shoreline bylaw, this isn't anywhere near 30 meters. I doubt that the lot's deep enough. There's probably a slope you can see from the picture where the car is, that it does come up a hill. But I think somewhere that we need to have language that encourages them to build as far back from the water as possible. I don't know where you put that in. So I'll hear from staff and then I'll see if there's other councillors that feel the same way. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thank you. And I wasn't there for your conversations yesterday, but certainly anytime the municipality sells a shore road allowance, which is land we own and we control, the municipality is giving up certain control over that property. Currently, we have policies within our official plan and within our zoning bylaw that regulate the development of legal non-complying structures, as well as the conveyance of road allowances. So if they were to build on that existing footprint, it would comply with today's zoning bylaw. Moving forward, if it's something that council wants to consider, staff could look at investigating alternate policies with regards to the sale of road allowance.
Any other, Councillor Smith and Councillor Clark?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, thanks for raising that. I had the same question that I wanted to ask Jeff, and I've heard the answer, which is basically, if we sell them this shore road allowance, they can rebuild on exactly that same spot, which appears from the photographs to be right on the water's edge. And so unless we can put in place a commitment that demands that they build the the replacement cottage, what they want to do, some considerable distance, 20 or 30 meters back from high water mark, I don't know why we would sell these folks the shore road allowance. It's a nice thing they want to do in terms of upgrade property, but it needs to be done in a fashion that is friendly to the environment, respects the provisions of protecting our shorelines and allowing them to go natural. And clearly, a cottage that is in excess of 50 years old has a shorter life ahead of it beside the water's edge than one that they're going to build in 2020 or 2021 or something like that. So I think we need to deliver a message here, and the message is, sorry, we're not going to sell you the shore road allowance for the sake of rebuilding in the same spot.
The other option is we could defer to get further information, because we have no information currently of where they plan to build. Where's their septic system to that? Is it maybe it is set far back and it can be way up the hill. I'm really not sure. This clearly isn't just a nice flat piece of land to the lake, but it does raise some concerns for me. We often sell these because a corner of the building or very small other structures, or sometimes we sell because an existing boathouse is there. We've done that before. I have some concerns and would wonder if anyone else does, and that we could at least defer. We wouldn't be willing to sell it until we get more information on their building proposal. Is that possible? I'll just ask staff, and then we'll go to the other councillors. So Jeff?
Yes, thank you. And I should have given you a bit more information. So what is driving this application is the building department cannot issue a building permit to them for something that is not located on their property. So that is why they're making this request. And yes, certainly council has that, can ask for more information, including where they're proposing to build. And I can go get that information and bring it back to you in the future.
So this could come back to the December 15th council meeting with further information.
If we get that information in time, we can bring that back, yes.
Okay, so Deputy Mayor Kennedy and then Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I would like to defer this and have them come back with some options as to where else they may be able to place that building and septic system upgrades.
Councillor Clark, go ahead.
Yeah, on this one, yeah, there is a grandfathering provision for them that we have to respect, and we have to look at it relative to our current bylaws. The shoreline protection piece is very important going forward, and I think it's going to have some major impact, I think, in terms of how we look at building on properties, but that's in the future. But at this point in time, we need additional information, and we're kind of walking a fine line between where we want to go and what our current laws are, current bylaws are. Thank you.
Well, I think there's no harm in deferring the decision until we get further information. As Councillor Smith says, we actually could just deny that we don't even sell it at all. I'd like to, before we fully deny, I'd like more information. One of the biggest concerns I have right now is that when you're doing any construction in that shoreline area, whether it be an old lot or at the 20 meters or 30 meters, but within the shoreline area, you have to put up silt protection. You have to make sure that there's not runoff. When you tear down something and that's sitting right at the water's edge, like the demolition of that is even risky, if you will. So in the construction, if it's going in exactly the same place, I physically can't even look at that and see where somebody would put silt protection. So further information, are we okay to defer and bring back? We need more detail. So we need detail on where the building would go, where the septic is going to go, and how would they prevent, during construction, what mitigation would they do? Is that fair to ask? With it being that close? Councillor Smith, go ahead, Councillor Smith.
Well, just based on the information that Jeff just provided, these owners could get a building permit from our building department for a cottage that was on their land as opposed to on our shore road allowance. Is that correct, Jeff?
That is correct. Looking at the pictures associated with the file, it looks like there's some topographical issues that may affect other building locations, but it's certainly something we can go back to the property owner and ask him if there's other buildable locations.
Yeah, you say it's a steep lot. Hey, there are lots of steep lots around. On different lakes. I can think of my own lake, and people have found a way to build with, modern construction equipment. There are more options open than there were 50 or 60 years ago. And yes, it's they need to have a set of steps or whatever to get from a high point down to the low point of the water. But that's the reality of the property they happen to, possess. In this case, they don't own it; they just lease it. I think there are options there, and we need to, make it clear. We're serious about protecting the lakes and the shorelines.
Okay, so I'll leave it with staff to get further information in this file to come back. Okay. How do we message Councillor Donaldson that she can come back into the meeting? Should we send her a text? Tamara, can you send her? Oh, there we go. Okay.
She's in.
Very good. Okay, so we're on to the last file, which is the lands of Chianconi and Halliburton Forest and Wildlife, and I'll turn that over to Chris.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor. Council has not previously seen this consent proposal. The application is proposing to sever approximately 5.3 hectares of lands owned by the Halliburton Forest and Wildlife Limited property to be conveyed and merged with the benefiting parcel directly east of the subject lands, which is owned by the applicant. The proposed lot line adjustment and lot line addition, it will provide additional lot area and frontage to the benefiting lands. No new lots are being created as a result of this application. And as the proposed consent is not creating a new lot and is considered to be improving the area by reducing the potential number of lots along Redstone Lake, it is staff's opinion through a condition for a zoning bylaw amendment to ensure proper setbacks are maintained along Redstone Lake, that the proposed will conform with the municipality's official plan. And based on the analysis contained in the planning report, Planning and Land Information Development recommends that council support the general principle of the proposal for a lot addition to the benefiting lands subject to the following conditions, and that comments received through public review process. So I can read through these conditions if you'd like.
Sure, they have to be read out loud.
Yeah, so the severance be for the proposed lot addition to roll number 041-000-88200. Second condition is that the registered owner to pay any outstanding taxes. Number 3 is that the registered owner to pay all administration and outstanding fees owned by the municipality of Dysart et al. Number 4 would be for the subject, subject to a zoning bylaw amendment to the satisfaction of the municipality for the benefiting parcel. And then number 5 would be prior to the endorsement of the deeds, that the municipality is provided a clearance letter to the Haliburton County Land Division Committee confirming that conditions 1 through 4 have been fulfilled. The applicant would be needs to make this request to the municipality. And that concludes if there's any questions.
Oh, questions from councillors? Nope, straightforward, no new lots. It's still just moving lines. So I'll need a mover seconder. Councillor Smith, Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that council support the general principle of a proposal for lot addition to the benefiting lands is subject to the following conditions and the comments received through the public review process, and the conditions have been read. All in favor? I'm just, okay, and that's carried. Just reading the resolution. Do you not usually have the, I guess it's in the condition, it's a roll number. At the bottom it says reference lands, Chianconi and Haliburton Forest and Wildlife Reserve, so. Okay, never mind. Just reading the resolution out loud and making sure that it's clearly stating the right property. Okay, so that ends our planning section for today, but we've left you with lots of work for the next meeting. So, okay, thank you very much. And I believe we're going to bring Andrea Mueller in next. Talk about the policy. And Andrea's just joining us now. Hello, Andrea.
Oh, good morning.
There you go. Tilt your screen. Okay, so the policy for the electronic sign is with us.
And there weren't really many changes to make. I did make a change to what we will not allow, and that was to say political and/or partisan-based events for political causes, as Councillor Smith's suggestion at the last committee of the whole meeting. So that change has been made, and the policy otherwise reads the same as it did last time.
Yeah, so I don't think there should be too many questions. It says the direction of the last meeting. Councillor Smith, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to say, Andrea, I think it has come a long way. We've been through this 2 or 3 times now, and you've come a long way with it, and that's terrific. You know, in reading it again, coming up to this meeting, there was one, small point I wondered about. Where you say announcements or events that promote a commercial interest or a commercial cause. When we were talking about this before, we used the example of the Curry Chevrolet Easter egg hunt. Well, it's a community event, so that should be permitted. I know also that one of the local pharmacists, Shoppers Drug Mart, they have a ladies' night that they promote discounts for ladies shopping that night, but they also give a percent of sales from that event to a local charity. And so I wondered, just so there'd be clarity, and these things are never going to be perfect anyway, but there'll be those who will want to complain about something that we do and say, well, how did you allow that? And I wondered if we might insert the word solely before promote a commercial interest or cause. Curry Chevrolet does an Easter egg hunt because they want to sell cars, but it's not solely to sell cars. And the same thing with this Shoppers Drug Mart thing. If they want to keep doing that ladies' night and donate a portion of sales to charity, it's not solely for their commercial interest. It's potentially a community event. And as I said, I think it's come a long way, and I think that would be a useful thing to do.
Does anyone have an objection to adding that word for more clarification? See, you could have been a lawyer there, John. That's good. Words matter. Words mean something, and it is important to get it right. And I think that actually is a very good point. So with that change being made, mover. There we go, Councillor Smith, and seconded by Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that council approves the electronic sign policy. Should I say it's amended? Was one word.
As amended, yeah,
As
that's a
amended.
better way to put it.
All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you for your work on that, Andrea. Let's hope we have lots of people wanting to purchase some advertising because there's going to be lots of events next spring and summer.
Yes, and we'll have the public skating campaign ready to launch by the end of the week. So hopefully we can get some sponsorship up for the holiday season.
Yes. So then the next just is the fees that we had discussed earlier. So really that's just for approval. We'd already, unless there's further discussion, go ahead, Councillor Smith.
No concerns with this. Just one point that in looking this over, I noticed in Schedule A, we still show dog tag fees of $10. I thought we eliminated dog tags, a year ago.
We did.
So maybe we should remove that from Schedule A.
Good catch.
You know.
To remove, okay. So that's a good catch. And also then we did give direction that we review our fees in the new year for ice time particularly. Okay, moved by Councillor Smith. A seconder, please. I don't see a seconder. Anybody? Councillor Wood Roberts. So we're going to make that change and eliminate, actually just take the line right out of it that says dog tags. Okay, so be it resolved that bylaw 2020-75 being a bylaw to impose fees and charges be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. All in favor? Okay. Excellent, thank you. So next we will go to finance. So that's Barbara with an agreement for volunteer dental outreach.
Oh yes, good morning. So we have here the bylaw for the lease agreement with the dental outreach. The draft lease was presented at the Committee of the Whole on November 24th. So we're bringing forward the final lease agreement and the bylaw here. So just a reminder that it is for 5 years and there's a 2% incremental increase year over year for the 5-year term.
Okay, so this is just for the bylaw. Mover, seconder. Councillor McKechnie, Councillor Clark. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-76 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a lease agreement between the municipality and the volunteer dental outreach be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached thereto. All in favor? That's carried. We have some minutes from the Property and Signs Committee, which Councillor Clark chairs. Any comment on the minutes? No.
Right.
Both files you can see were given modifications, and maybe that's something we can follow up with the first file and follow up with staff and see. The one, the extension was till the end of April, I believe, or it's April-ish. Okay, so mover seconder to acknowledge receipt of the minutes. Councillor Smith, Councillor Donaldson. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the October 22nd, 2020 Sign and Property Standards Committee minutes. All in favor? Carried, thank you. Next, we have minutes from Harcourt Community Hall Board for since last February. We're just getting them, which is fine. Councillor Donaldson, anything to add to the minutes?
Nope, there wasn't quorum for the last meeting, which I think was a council last time. So there hasn't been any meeting since then.
And you meet tonight?
I don't.
No? Oh,
No.
sorry, I thought it said next meeting.
Oh, does it?
No, maybe not. No, no. Okay, well, just keep us posted on how things are going there.
Okay.
I need a mover and seconder unless questions on the minutes. No, moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Kennedy. Be it resolved that council acknowledges receipt of the Harcourt Community Hall Board minutes from the following dates: February 18th, August 25th, and September 22nd, all of 2020. All in favor? Carried. West Guildford Hall Board, anything to report?
Thank you. Yeah, we met earlier this month and don't have the minutes yet, but since then there's been some work with Andrew Mueller, who I guess is gone now. But one of the things that we've been looking at is actually providing for indoor pickleball over the winter season. Pickleball has become quite popular, and people can play outdoors during the summer on, tennis court-like facilities. But we've got a number of parties that are interested, and so there's been work with Andrea Mueller to make sure that we can do this in a COVID-compliant fashion, given all of the rules and so forth. And she's provided that to us, so it's been very helpful. And so we have another meeting coming up Monday, and I'm expecting that we'll approve at least the launch of a trial for indoor pickleball. We've got to make some modifications to protect the light fixtures. But if you're familiar with pickleball, the ball's not particularly heavy. It's essentially an air-filled ball, and so we think that's going to be quite exciting in terms of both some rental revenue, which has been hard to come by in the last year. But as one of the members of our committee said, this sounds like we're turning it into a real community center. Get people in there, not just for social events, weddings and Jack and Jill parties and stuff like that, but to actually have it used, during the day throughout the winter. Could be, as I said, as this person said, a real community center, recreation center, what have you. So we think that's pretty exciting, and I'll hopefully be able to report at next council meeting that we've got some pickleball going on.
That's great news. And like you said, it's becoming very popular. So I hope they can do that. And I think they're still planning their snow shuffle that is until later in the winter season, and maybe they have to do a different kind of food thing.
Yeah, is the snow shuffle we've talked about. It's in February, and it would be solely an outdoor event, given the COVID protocol. But there's no detailed plans at this point. But conceptually, we could serve chili or something like that outdoors, and still benefit from the fundraising, because although we haven't had a lot of rental activity. We did learn at our meeting earlier this month that we had to spend $2,400 to replace the water pump at the facility. So, bills keep coming, and even if the revenue doesn't come in.
That's what's happening all over. Okay, thank you for that report. And next we have Rails End. We do have a report that was submitted by Laurie Jones, but I'll let Councillor Clark speak to that.
Yeah, as you've noted, Madam Mayor, they've provided a report. Our next meeting for Rails End is this coming Thursday, November 26th. The big part of that report is that they're quite hopeful that COVID is going to back off a little bit, and we'll be able to do the Arts and Crafts Festival next July. That's the main fundraiser for the Rails End, and also a main part of our community. So we keep our fingers crossed that things will start returning to normal by next summer, and they're able to go forward with their plans on that. Thank you.
Okay, I got a kick out of doing their programming, which we know they're doing programming upstairs at the A.J. LaRue Center, and it says we have learned not to jump when the puck hits the glass. So That would be quite the slap shot to hit it up to the second story. So I thought that was cute. I also want to encourage anyone to remember to go check out their gallery. Not just the gallery, pardon me, the store, the gift, whatever you want to call the gift shop area. I have bought some fabulous little gifts there over the years, and just don't forget that when you're doing your Christmas shopping this year to pop in and check that out. And so BIA, Councillor Wood Roberts.
Oh, Mayor Roberts, sorry,
Oh,
there's a
yes.
resolution on the last.
There is a resolution there, pardon me. Yep, okay. To acknowledge receipt of the report. So I would need a mover seconder, thank you. Councillor Clark, and seconded. Councillor Smith. Be resolved, Council acknowledges receipt of the November 2020 Rails and Gallery and Art Center report. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Keeping me on track. Okay, now to you, BIA.
Thank you. BIA has a new secretary / manager / public relations person, and it is Angelica Ingram. And we're very, very happy to have her. She'll be a wonderful fit. Buy-in and Win has started this year. It's a little bit different because of all the travel restrictions. Normally it's a trip away. This year it'll be $1,500 in gift certificates to be spent in the local BIA area. So that'll be exciting, and that'll really promote things downtown. BIA really appreciate the parking meters being covered. And just, it's rather sad that there's going to be no Santa Claus parade or anything, but I do believe Rotary has something planned for the community. BIA and Lions Club, it's just very hard to do with the social distancing that's required. That's about it for the BIA. I have forwarded Mallory the minutes of the last meeting. I just got them Sunday night, and I can't open them in the format that they've sent them. So they'll be on, and we have a meeting this evening as well. So those will be in the next council agenda for your purview. That's
Okay,
it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, the Rotaries, oh gosh, if I can say the date out loud, is Saturday, December 5th. It's a Rotary drive-through to see Santa. I have a feeling that's going to be very popular with families and children, and they're having to adhere to all kinds of protocols, etc. for that, but at least there is something. And I also want to thank Kim Emerson for the donation of the spectacular Christmas tree that's in town. So that is a beauty. I don't know if anybody saw on social media some of the pictures that went up at Rockefeller Center and other areas, and they had these, I mean, they're 75-foot trees, mind you, but I think our tree is perfect. So thank you to Kim Emerson for donating that to decorate our town. Looks great. So what else do we have under here? Sorry, my agenda went wonky. Aging well, anything? No. I don't know if you probably haven't been meeting with Zoom, but hopefully there you can share the Places for People news, or they'll be hearing that. Community Police Advisory Committee, that's actually something when we do an addition to our, we don't need to do it now, but to our procedural bylaw, that's going to be coming off. We're working with, I'm working with the other mayors for a community safety and well-being plan that will be adopted for all municipalities, and that went out to RFP, and we're going to be meeting on that shortly. So the advisory committee is more or less dissolved. Harvest Halliburton, anything there?
Yeah, we have another meeting coming up early December, so we weren't able to really get together much in November. So,
and I don't believe anything on the next three.
Well, actually, the Upper Trent Water Management Council, Mike Rutter's got a meeting scheduled for early December.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Okay, very good. So that concludes everything from this reports and standing committees at this point. So we now need to move into closed session. So I need a mover and a seconder to go into closed. And as we go into closed, it takes a few minutes for the administrators to undo do us and, or, you know, whatever it's called. Click, where they click, point and click, and they kick us out and then they bring us back in. So if you want to take that opportunity to freshen up a beverage or do a bio break, go right ahead. And we'll try to get through a closed session directly. We'll see how we can do that. So mover seconder to go into closed. Councillor Wood Roberts, Councillor Donaldson. Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting at 10:39 a.m. to discuss matters pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, pertaining to a proposed disposition of land by the municipality in the township of Harcourt, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Oh, I said the wrong thing. It's 11:39, but it's probably 11:40 by the time I read that. I saw that and I said the wrong thing. So all in favor to go into closed? And that is carried. Thank you, the members of the public listening in today. And we're now in closed. It's going to take a minute to do something. Okay. Okay, so we are now back in open session and I have one resolution to read that has come out of closed, and it's moved by Deputy Mayor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Smith. Be it resolved that council receives the estimate market value of John Parish dated October 16, 2020 with respect to the original allowance for road between concession 7 and 8, part 2 in the township of Harcourt, municipality of Dysart et al. The purchase price of the lands is set at $4,000. All in favor? And that's carried. So that is everything for our meeting today, and we're just going to close up our meeting. So I need a mover and a seconder to confirm proceedings of today. Moved by Councillor Wood Roberts and seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Be it resolved that bylaw 2020-77, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held on November 24, 2020, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and the corporate seal attached here too. All in favor? And that's carried. And then lastly, motion to adjourn. Councillor Donaldson, Deputy Mayor Kennedy. Be it resolved that council adjourn its regular meeting held on November 24, 2020 at 1:02 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. We are now adjourned, and I'll see you all tomorrow afternoon on the big jumbo Zoom screen. We'll see how that works for the service delivery review. Take care, everyone. Be safe.